Several people have asked me about sig fig rules when doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So I wanted to go over a quick two questions just to showcase some of those rules and how they work. So addition and subtraction rules basically state that you keep the last significant digit that you report in your final answer is the one that has the lowest number of decimal places from the original numbers. And when you multiply and divide, you keep the lowest number of significant digits. However, when you switch between operations, you also need to switch between rules. So let's take a look at an example of that. So for our first problem, you have 2.21 plus 13. So now if you plug those values into your calculator, 2.21 times 13 is 28.73. So that was addition and subtraction, and that states that you keep the lowest decimal place. So in that case, we are at the ones place with 13, and the 100th place for 2.21. This means that our last significant digit needs to be reported to the ones place, and that value is going to be the 8. So we keep 28.73, but I'm going to underline the 8 to indicate that that's the last significant digit. This means that this number, even though it's 28.73, only has two significant digits. Now, we're going to perform the rest of the calculation, which is multiplying that value by 40. Now, when we multiply that value, we also need to switch rules. So multiplication and division states that you keep the lowest sig fig, and in that case, the number is 4. So 40 only has one sig fig, and 28.73 has two sig figs. So when you perform this calculation, you get 1149.2 out of your calculator. However, I can only keep one significant digit, so I'm going to underline this value, which means that when I report my final answer, it actually is just 1,000. Let's try another example. So this time, inside the parentheses, you have a multiplication and division, which states that you keep the lowest number of sig figs. So in our case, 4.6 has two sig figs, and 3721 has 4 sig figs. So our final answer, we're going to underline the second significant digit. So when you plug 4.6 times 3721 into your calculator, you get 17,116.6. Let me make sure that's right. Hold on. 4.6 times 3721. Yeah, 17,116.6. So remember, I need to underline this 7 because it is the 2nd significant digit. And our rules for multiplication and division state that we keep the lowest number of sig figs. So now I keep all of my remaining values, but I might underline the 7 to keep track of it. Now, I know that I need to do a addition and subtraction, which states that you keep the lowest number of decimal places. Now in this case, it's going to be the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands decimal place. So that's going to be the last significant digit. So when I plug 17,116.6 into my calculator minus 12.7, just 1 second, 17,116.6 minus 12.7, then my calculator tells me that that value is 17,103.9. However, remember, I can only keep the lowest decimal place, which from our multiplication and division was all the way over here, which means that this is my last significant digit, which means that when I report my final answer, it needs to be this, 17,000. And the reason that these 3 zeros are not significant is because they don't follow a decimal place and they are 0 digits. I hope this has been helpful. Promise that as you continue to practice, you will get the hang of it, and I'll provide you with more additional practice as needed.